2 weeks ago, my computer wasn't working, so Sergey fixed it. 1 week ago, my computer wasn't working, and then Sebastian and Bastien fixed it. And then this week, I got a new computer, and it also at first didn't work, but then Sebastian fixed it. And now it's all green and everything works. Yeah. Now I have a very shiny new computer that I had to set up, so I could only work 4 days this week. Now we have snacks, which has all the shots lit, but not set dressed.
Yes! Yes! Oh, God! No! No! Oh! I don't want to hurt you. Just keep your distance. All right then, eat salty little green bastards.
So you've probably seen some. But the animation has been done at the end, so I just didn't re-render those shots yet. So Drown. So this week I was continuing to work on Drown, and the big question was, what color does the Sprite P have? And how can we see it? Because right like this, it's pretty dark. It could also look like this, where it's glowing like lasers. But I guess it's more something like this, where it suddenly just like gets lifted off the background a little bit. So then I was throwing some lights together into the scene. And yeah, that's what I will show you next after previewing this. So obviously the P streams are all animated by hand and everything, and but we needed to get the interaction with the floor. So what I did was basically at each base of the stream of fluid, there's an emission that occurs. So it just fills everything with fluid. So this kind of just bridges the gap between the animation and the simulation. This is the higher resolution version of it, also with some foam particles. And I also managed to get rid of some of the blobs that appeared when the fluid was actually going through the domain. This was the first version rendered, and you can see it's quite subtle here. And this is the current version rendered. So you can see it's kind of just blends the animated streams together with the ground, and it's just really subtle. Then the next thing was, wait, this part, okay. So Jay is supposed to drown in this yellow fluid. How do we get that to work? Well, I actually set up basically a volume that has objects on the inflow. So there is a constant inflow of fluid into the whole domain. So in theory, the level should rise constantly. In some occasions that did work, and so I can show you some first. Yeah, this was an overnight bake, so this took around 20 hours to simulate, and you can see there's still a gap between the volume and J, and I could never get that gap to go away. It's always one fluid cell, and that's a little bit of a bummer. So this was done last night. It was rendered at a resolution of 400, whatever that means. And yeah, but there's still this kind of gap. And the problem is that the fluid is kind of still in the beginning. So today I asked Rick to just give us a little bit of a pre-roll of that. So that's what is currently simulating. This is the rendered version of that. You just saw it. And yeah, it's a little bit still in the beginning. And also the problem is that J is supposed to be submerged at the end, and that's been my main struggle today, which is that the fluid, the higher the resolution goes, the more the volume gets lost in the system. So there's some kind of leakage going on there. So I try to keep the level constant, so J actually gets submerged in the fluid. And towards the end, I got that kind of working, and now there's still a gap, which it appears really at low resolution, but now I hope at high resolution it actually works. By the way, this was a test where I tried to cache J into an Alembic file, but it doesn't work. It's only taking the first frame, so that was a fail. Then next, I tried to get the boombox falling into the water, into the fluid, into the yellow fluid of no name. And the problem was that it's kind of jittery towards the end. So I tried several passes of this. This is also a pass with foam particles, but the foam particles get kind of flash in and out, so I removed them. Also, we see the fluid kind of clipping in the foreground. Sorry if this is getting a little boring. So I tried to basically get the boombox submerged, but the problem was that the fluid was also not consistent. So there's always some kind of leakage going on. So the higher the resolution got, the more leakage there was. So the lower the resolution was, the less got leaked, but it was just really, really messy. This was very promising at first, but then yeah, this was done at a high resolution. So at the end, the fluid just leaked away. And I am currently trying to do it with a different solver, which proves to be a little bit more stable, but I hope that will work. I also then tried to simulate fake some caustics for the fluid inside the tree, which is just an animated texture. And here you can see it drawn at its current state.
What? Is that? I can't swim!
Anyway, that was my week.
This week in animation, I was together with the team, of course. We finalized snacks. We started a bunch of new sequences, which is very exciting. So we started intro, and then we started village. We already have started village last week, but now we officially got the turnover and the kickoff this week. So some of the animators will show you their work of these sequences. And since last week, we were already working on the big village shot that has been done by Ruth, by Gerard, and by me. So this shot has been split up. And so let me just play this for you. So there's a lot of things going on here. And this shot is planned to be rendered first before we add even more sprites, or even like some filling here and there. And also we're waiting for the final score to lip sync all of the little sprites here. But that was a big achievement the beginning of the week, to have all this animation come together in one file and make it work. So I'm having my fingers crossed to make sure that this is also working in the rendering, but that will probably be next week. Next to that, I've been jumping on the last two shots of snacks, which is the shot where Ellie is going berserk and slicing sprites left and right. So this is one of the shots here where we do have some nice smear frames to kind of amplify that motion. And then there's the other shot, which is the the last shot of Ellie in this shot, in this sequence. And yeah, she is totally into the slashing, doing an uppercut, doing a low cut and whatnot. Yeah, she fights her way out of the forest here. And then next to that, I also have been working on the very first. Well, it's actually the second shot of the movie, but the first shot that we see actually characters. And this pass is a reference pass, and yeah, feel free to check on Kitsu with audio. But there's also some animation in there. So that was the first pass, simply to get some ideas of the beats that I was thinking of, and show that to Yalti. So the next pass I'm going to show is a rough blocking of that, and as you can see, like the snail also has a blocking pass. So here we go. So still a lot to do here, but yeah, I'm very, very excited about this shot, and next week we'll see another update on that. And that was my week.
So this week in the rigging department, good old props. That's the beer can holder that the bird will be stuck in. Rick drew me a little squiggle of where he wants bones, and I slept bones. And pickle jar is 2 bones. And I slept some darts in the bag in Bordersburg. And all this is boring, no one cares. And there's a bunch of bones in the bushes, and then more stuff that no one cares about. The tent, a couple of bones in the tent to make it collapse. And then we have a second stage of the tent modeled by Julien that can collapse even further. And then later on we'll have a third stage of the tent that is very collapsed. And that will be the history of the tent. And then there was like 700 points of feedback from like 6 different people on Ellie's shoulders this week for some reason, which was kind of weird. But to be fair, it was trash. And now it's hopefully less trash. But then again, it's shoulders. It will always be trash. But still, it's a lot less trash now. I don't have a before after. You just see this, and hopefully you don't go, wow, that's trash anymore. So that's good. And then the actually exciting part, Phil's face. I did Phil's face this week from start to finish, I think. Unless I got started on it last week, I'm not sure. No, I probably did. But anyways, he can do all the stuff now. He can also, yeah, my posing on this video is not giving him great treatment, but still, everything works. So once it gets to some actually talented animators, then this will look good, I promise, I think, maybe. But yeah, he can be happy. There you go, that looks great. He's very handsome. And then that's only his mouth, and then his eyes are functioning also. But then again, this is the 5th character at this point, so none of this is going to be very innovative. But yeah, everything works like it does for the other characters, except for the things that don't, which I'm not aware of yet. But once he gets animated, we will find out and fix it all. I already had a round of feedback from Rick, which should be mostly addressed already, so hopefully it's not super terrible anymore. And then this was a quick hack of a feature request for Rick, which is to let Ellie kneel a bit. And I mean, a proper kneeling rig is kind of a headache, so I just hacked something terrible in there, which is this, where it's like it doesn't preserve the length of the legs, but who cares? So yeah, you can anchor her knees to a position and it will just stick there, which is useful for kneeling. And I think that is it for me.
This week I end this shot of of village that Rick showed you before. I was, well, only have to do the sprites on the middle, the dancing guys, this one with the eggs. And well, I just have to finish some notes on the dance to make him jump higher so we could read better, and make everything on twos because some of them were on ones. And well, just finish this one and it's done. But next to that, I also make this dance of the cute sprites loop. So I'm gonna show you because it's not on Pitsu. So we can use that on another shot or something. So I just make them loop. And then I did evil version, which is this one, is the blocking. Well, this is supposed to be with a torch, but I use that for now. And then this one is the polished version with loop, also turning around. And next to that, I start on village, the intershot of Elder Sprite. So it's pretty exciting because it's the presentation of the character. And it's version 4, I think, yeah. Well, on the left side, I have my first pass, which was only the main poses. And I got feedback from the mouth, for example, if you can see at the beginning, I had these sharp corners, and we go more for that kind of mouth rounded, which it looks so much appealing. And then what I did today is this last version that I show you, that I work more on the one on the right. I work more on the beats on the body to make it match the audio. So well, the part where it's falling, it's the same, but I will keep working on that. So yeah, that's my week.
This week I made the darkest renders ever, which I can show for now. It's basically just a little bit of extra work for 2 shots related to the Mushroom Grove set, so that actually now works. There's actually more bushes, feels more like a tunnel. In general, a lot of work on the Mushroom Grove, also just polishing the background trees a bit more. The canopies are higher now because they were intersecting too much into the set. And just generally fixing a lot of like little things that were coming up for the rendering, but also just more scattering. Oh wow, this is out of focus. Just like more trees in the background, more mushrooms scattered around. Even here, just like filling in some spaces, just little things basically. But also the Lockbridge set got a little bit more work with, hold on. This is an old. Well, this is an old screenshot. There's actually like this branch is removed, and in general, just also. Is the Dropbox still updating?
It should be synced by now.
Oh well, then there's also the tent model, which at first I just modeled like it is here, and then made some more little bit destroyed versions, and just showing a bit of incompetence on Rex's part of like that he doesn't know how to use these ropes, and also just hammering a bunch of stakes in the same spot. And on the second try, it's also a bit more hopeless, but so Ellie doesn't have a lot to work with. And then Matt rigged it, so there's going to be a third version where it just completely falls apart. And that's basically it.
Okay, so this week it has been very exciting for me because I've started a new shot that it's like a very huge shot, and not only because it's long and it has 4 characters, but because it's the first presentation that we have of these 4 characters. So I was very conscious that this would be like the first impression on the audience. So we really need to get that right, and I'm happy to have it. So here's the first pass I made, like really rough, not definite poses. I'm not sharing. I'm not sharing.
Now
Yeah,
you're
now it's
on.
working.
Yeah, you see this?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wait, now this is a mess. Let
You
me,
may want to refresh. Yeah. There we go.
here.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, this is the first pass, really rough. This is a second. Let me show it. Yeah, feel it's not done, okay. So the changes we have here, it's this little swing that Rex made, it's changed. And then we have an issue with Victoria because we like this acting where she hacks into the biceps, like it's more seductive, like I really want to have fun. But the problem is that she was too close to the camera. So in the next one, it's the final one that I'm gonna show you, I made a pic of most. Wait, this one. Okay, and this is the last version I have. Wait, I put the volume, sorry. Okay, so I still have some days to work on, but right now I have this.
So yeah, I finished up posing all the characters and started animating my part on the village, which is on this side. So yeah, just like Rick and Gerard showed. And the next thing I did was work on this shot. This is like the first shot I got from all the characters, so I could get used to them and play around with them, which I really liked. And the fun thing was you hear Elder Sprite falling all the time. So every time I work on it, it's actually normally you hear dialogue all the time. It gets a bit annoying, but this is actually pretty funny. Maybe a bit sadistic of me, but yeah. So the first version I made was, they were a bit too serious. And wait 1 second. And I have a last, yes. And I made them more surprised. So yeah, that's what my week was.
I did a bunch of things. So last week I shot the flashlight, and this week, after we rendered one of the shots where it's in, we found out, oh, there's a nasty rendering issue going on, which is unfortunately not very easy to fix. So I slapped the fix in the shader on it so it disappears. That took longer than I would have hoped, but now it works. And then I continued my marathon of shading props. First with the corn darts. That's the bag. A bit of like a printing artifact going on, kind of stuff. Brownie bears, pretty much the same thing, just brownie bears. It's a brownie bear. I removed the model, which Anima had asked me to because it's too detailed, but there's still some salt in the shading. So this is not sugar, this is salt. Shug brown ale, the beer, and all the snacks in the destroyed version for the trashing of the Grove set. So yeah, this needed to be dirty so it actually blends into the background. It doesn't drag too much attention. Then I had a lot of fun UV unwrapping the backpack, and I'm pretty happy with the result though. It's turned out pretty nice. Yeah, you can zoom in all the way. Backpack and
texture raised. Any texture or it's all just?
It's. I mean, I painted in one texture, but otherwise it's procedural. And yeah, so this week there was still a lot of like creating shaders from scratch, but now I can actually reuse a lot of them constantly, which is very nice. And then the sleeping bags. So there's Ellie's sleeping bag, zipper, things. Eventually, it might be nice to maybe add like more character-based patterns at some point if we have time. But that's it for now. Another sleeping bag, another sleeping bag, sleeping bags, sleeping bags. A lot of sleeping bags. Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't just copy over the shading. It was a little bit more manual work, but that's done. Then we have the barbecue utensils, wood, metals, and the barbecue grill itself. A little bit of use, not too dirty or rusty, just a little bit. And yeah, that's where I'm currently still working on. It needs a little bit more love, but that's the tent bag and the tent itself. And I think that's it.
Oh, awesome.